No. Okay. So hey y'all, I'm back with another Glowforge tutorial. Um, this is a good one. I have fun with this one. I think I struggled the most with the design process only because I had to reacclimate myself to using what is the name of the thing? Inkscape? Inkscape, yeah. So I hadn't used it in so long, so I had to relearn the program in order to design these. And you'll see me make a few mistakes, but nonetheless, I got the project done, and it is these. These are brand inspired keychains. This is for my nephew. 19th birthday party, and she didn't know really what she wanted to do as a party favor outside of giving the kids a bunch of candy. So I thought that it would be cool. These are preteens. They got their first set of keys. So it's like, give them a little keychain. I just want to be clear. I do not sell these. You cannot order these from me. I did not make any money from this. These were gifted to my nephew and his friends. And I know how these brands be doing. They be trying to come for you. But I really thought this was a cute idea, and I wanted to make it happen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep on watching. Okay, let's get started. First, I'm going to ungroup Madison's name so that I can duplicate the text and duplicate the swish so we can create the last name that needs to be done. Gonna group that back together. And then I am going to change the name over. The last child was Nasir. And you'll notice later I spelled the name wrong. You'll see that it's changed later on in the video. But I used the official Nike logo, just to line my letters up. Make the sizing look good. You know, it's Nike inspired. So just because it's not the official Nike, that don't mean it has to look janky. So I wanted it to look as official as possible. So I used the official logo just to get myself lined up properly so that it looks nice and uniform. And I thought doing keychains like this would be nice. I like the aesthetic of it to match his Nike cake that he had for his birthday. So now I'm just going to line all the names up to make it neat so you can see all of them. And you'll see the lettering is a little different on each. The sizing is a little different on each. Nothing is identical because some of the names were longer than others, so I had to make some adjustments. Now, I didn't show this part, but before you get to this process, you need to change your text into a path. And to do that, you'll go to Path and then Object to Path. And then once that's done, you'll do Path again and change it to Union. Now, to do the offset, you're going to do Path and then Linked Offset. And as you can see, it created a second layer. After you create that second layer, you go over to this little arrow thing under the arrow, and it's going to give you that diamond, and that diamond is going to allow you to thicken the lettering and everything to create your offset. You might want to change the color, and then you can put your letters back in to center everything if you have the arrow selected. That's the tricky thing about this app. Like, if you don't click the right thing, the tool is going to do something different for you. But that's basically how I created the offset for all of the names. And I think I decided to make the offset a little thicker, like the one up top. But I just wanted to be able to show how I created the offset because it's necessary for the way that I did the keychains. That's how you have the clear around the edges of the orange lettering. And I just continue to play around with it until the offset is at the thickness that I desire. And then once that's done, you can go ahead, group it together so that your two items stay the same. And in order to do that, you just go to Object, or rather you select both items, go to Object, and then click on Group, and it will group your items together. Now we need to add the little ring, or the little hole for the key ring. So what I did was I started by creating 2 circles of a different size, and just pay attention to your measurements up top. You can change them to what you want, like millimeters, inches, whatever. And what I did was I adjusted the measurements so that I would have equal circles, but I made one circle smaller than the other. And now I'm going to center them together. You got to select both of them and center them. And then you can clip the center out. So first I align them, and then I go back up to path and difference, and that creates the hole. Now once you do that, make it whatever color you want. I made it to match the gray. And then for this name, I had to ungroup it, move the name off, and then position the ring to where I want it. So I felt like that was a good place to put it. And then click or select the 2 items, the circle and the offset, and then link them together. You can do that by going to path and then union. Okay, and then you click on the tool below the arrow so that you can, even out your circle, or maybe you want to get rid of any extra holes that may have been created at some point, but that's how you do it. And then you put your letters back and you have your keychain with a hole for the ring. Now that we're all done creating the bases of the keychains, you need to save it. It's important that you save it as a plain SVG. So you're going to go to File, Export, and it opens up this box on the side, and you'll be able to change the name, find the location, and everything in your computer. I left the specifics up top as far as like the width and height of the item. I left that all the same. I didn't change any. Now that I have my SVG saved onto my computer, I started up my Glowforge, and I'm going to go ahead and put my clear medium cast acrylic from proof grade into the machine so that we can get ready to cut. I mentioned in a previous video that I have an inline fan set up for venting out of the window. So I come in here and click or select that my Glowforge filter is connected so that it turns off the fan on the Glowforge itself. To add my design, I go up to Create New Design, Upload File, and it opens up the window for me to select it. Go ahead and I select my baby's birthday file. You click upload, and then you'll see it start to process in the corner. Once the processing is complete, your image will show up. And as you can see, the camera in the Glowforge is showing me exactly where my proof grade material is sitting. So I select what I need to cut, and I select what I need to score. So I decided that because the acrylic is clear and I wanted it to be as even as possible, I cut the outer edge of the acrylic and I set the name to score on it. This way, when I apply the vinyl, I can use the score as a guide. Here, I'm just going to speed through the process of me trying to figure out how I wanted to align everything. I really like the fact that you can see this on the Glowforge because you can see exactly where these items are going to cut. So this is very helpful to make sure you're using the best space of your your materials. So once I have this all aligned, I'll go ahead and start the process of allowing the machine to calibrate so that it can cut the material out. And during this time of me like setting everything up, I'm also checking the measurements. I did each keychain 2 inches by 4 inches, so I wanted to make sure that the dimensions were correct because that was going to play a part with me cutting out the vinyl on my Cricut. Once I'm done arranging, I go ahead and click print, and now it's going to prepare it and let me know how long this cut is actually going to take. And I think this one took about 10 minutes. It'll pop up on the screen in a minute. And that just means you can move on to other things while your machine is doing what it's doing. Just make sure you stay by. Make sure you are attentive to your Glowforge. You want to make sure that you're not walking into another room or walking away completely. But you know, you can like watch TV, glance at the Glowforge, watch TV, glance at the Glowforge. In my case, I glanced at the Glowforge while I was starting to set up my cut for Cricut. First, shout out to me for learning how to use picture-in-picture because this is cute. So my Glowforge is cutting. You can see it in the top right corner. And I'm going to start setting up my Cricut to cut the vinyl that will go on this acrylic once the Glowforge is done. And I don't know if you saw in the last clip, but I did name my Glowforge Big Fluff. So just in case you hear me refer to it as Big Fluff, you know who she is, okay? But here we're going to upload our picture or our SVG of the keychains. And since this is more focused on Glowforge, I didn't want to go too into detail of how Cricut works. But with my image here, I can make sure my sizing is correct on each keychain. And if my sizing is correct on each of these, then my vinyl will come out the correct size that it needs to be once the vinyl is cut. So I do double check all of the sizing here to make sure that it remains 2 inches by 4 inches for each one because the acrylic was cut at 2 inches by 4 inches. And this is basically what it looks like fresh out the Glowforge. The acrylic is clear, the masking is still on right now. So once I take the masking off, I can go ahead and add the vinyl that I'll be cutting with the Cricut. Here, I'm just finishing up the adjustment of the sizing. I use the bar up top to type in the correct dimensions so that, you know, it's very precise instead of me trying to use the little tabs to size it out. So I do this for a few more minutes and then I turn off the offsets because I only want the orange. I don't want any of the gray. The acrylic is the gray. The orange is what will be cut on vinyl. Now that I have all of the sizing complete, I can go ahead and arrange the items on the mat the way that I want them to cut. So here's how all of the names came out. I completed all of the other names, but I wanted to show you the process of me sticking the vinyl on. So first things first, I take off the masking. Some people use duct tape or like Gorilla Tape to do this part. It hasn't been successful for me. I don't know if I'm using the wrong kind of tape. So I'm doing it the hard way and just picking the pieces out, and we're gonna make it work, okay? Once I have all of the masking off, I go ahead and use some transfer tape so that I can pull the vinyl off of the backing. And I do my best to center and align this as perfect as possible onto the acrylic. I think this one I did slightly off-centered, and I ended up recutting the name and doing it all over, but I didn't get to record that process. So, but you know, if you've used vinyl or stuck vinyl on anything else, process is the same, nothing major. Just take your time and don't be rushing like me, because I was rushing. It was after work. I was tired. I wanted to get this over. And here are all the names. And I mean, the bubbles are there, but it's irrelevant because I decided that I wanted to go ahead and put a coat of epoxy on top just to make it a little more durable. These are children that are receiving them, some preteens with their little first set of keys, first set of house keys. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, the lettering would last. So this was the finished product after I did the coat of epoxy. I absolutely love how they came out. I didn't include the epoxy process within this video because it wasn't an epoxy video, it was more of a Glowforge situation. But if you would like me to show you the process of coating keychains with epoxy, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll do a video just on coating the actual keychain.